Everyone likes the idea of growth. People speak about it with pride. They say they want to become stronger, wiser, calmer, better than they were before. But there is a quiet truth about growth that few people expect. Not everyone stays when you grow. Some people like the version of you that was smaller. The version that asked for advice, that moved slowly, that depended on them. When you begin to change, something else begins to change too. The space around you. Some friendships grow deeper. Others quietly disappear. This story from the forest is about that moment. The moment when one animal changed, and the forest around him changed with it. In a deep valley surrounded by tall cliffs lived a young stag named Lyre. When Lyre was small, he moved everywhere with a group of animals who had grown up beside him. There was Raoul the fox, clever and quick with words. There was Mira the rabbit, who knew every hidden path in the grass. And there was Bren the raccoon, who always found food when others could not. They spent their days wandering the valley together. When danger came, they warned one another. When food was scarce, they shared what they found. When night fell, they rested beneath the same old tree near the river. Lyre was the youngest among them. He often followed the others quietly. When they chose a path, he walked behind. When they made decisions, he listened. And the others liked that. It was comfortable. Years passed. Seasons changed. The small stag grew taller. His legs grew strong. His antlers began to spread like branches from a tree. One autumn morning, Lyre stood near the river and saw his reflection in the water. For the first time, he looked like a leader of the herd. Something inside him had changed. And from that day forward, Lyre began making his own choices. When the group reached a fork in the forest path, he sometimes chose a different direction. When danger approached, he did not wait for the fox to speak first. He listened to his own instincts. At first the others laughed. "Look at Lyre," Raoul the fox said one afternoon. "Our quiet follower thinks he is a guide now." The rabbit giggled. The raccoon rolled his eyes. But Lyre said nothing. He simply continued walking. Winter came early that year. The river froze. Food became scarce. The group wandered farther than usual, searching for something to eat. One evening they reached a narrow canyon that split the forest in two directions. The left path was familiar. It led toward the old fields where they had always found food. The right path climbed into the high forest on the cliffs. No one in their group had ever gone there. Raoul the fox immediately pointed left. "We know that path," he said. "There will be food." But Lyre did not move. He watched the wind drifting from the canyon walls. Then he spoke quietly. "The wind carries the smell of fresh grass from the cliffs." The fox shook his head. "Grass does not grow on stone." "Maybe not last year," Lyre said. "But this year the rains were different." The rabbit frowned. The raccoon sighed. "You're guessing," the fox said. "Yes," Lyre replied. "But I am listening." No one spoke for a moment. Then the fox turned. "Follow me," he said, walking toward the familiar path. The rabbit and raccoon followed him without hesitation. Lyre remained where he was. The fox stopped and looked back. "Well," he said, "aren't you coming?" Lyre shook his head. "No." The word surprised them. "You would leave us?" the rabbit asked. "I am not leaving," Lyre said calmly. "I am choosing." They looked at him as if they no longer recognized the quiet stag who had always walked behind them. For a moment, none of them spoke. And with that, Lyre turned and began climbing the narrow path toward the cliffs. The climb was long. The path was steep. For hours Lyre walked alone. For the first time in his life, there was no one beside him. But he kept moving. When he finally reached the top of the cliffs, the wind opened into a wide plateau. And there, spread across the frozen earth, grew patches of tall green grass, protected from the winter storms. More food than he had seen in months. Lyre lowered his head and began to eat. For several days he remained there. The wind was quiet. The grass was plentiful. And slowly, other animals began to arrive. First, a small herd of deer, then 2 wild horses, and a family of mountain goats. They saw Liar standing calmly in the center of the plateau. They saw the grass he had discovered. And without a word, they began grazing beside him. Far below in the valley, a fox and the others found the whole fields empty. The winter had taken everything. For days they searched without success. Finally, the fox climbed the canyon walls, hoping to find another path. When he reached the top, he froze. Before him stretched the green plateau, and in the middle of it stood Liar, calm, strong, surrounded by animals who followed his quiet movements. The fox stared for a long time. Then he slowly walked forward. "You are right," he said. Liar looked at him but did not speak. The fox lowered his head slightly. "We thought you were changing too much," he said. Liar nodded. "I was." The fox hesitated. "And we did not like it." Liar finally answered. "Growth often makes people uncomfortable." The wind moved through the tall grass. The fox looked around at the animals, grazing peacefully beside the stag. "You found a new place," he said quietly. "No," Liar replied. "I found the courage to walk somewhere unfamiliar." What the fox saw that day was not just a new field. He saw what had truly changed in Liar. The young stag had stopped waiting for the path others chose. He had trusted the quiet voice that grows only when someone is ready to become more than they once were. And sometimes that single step into the unknown is the moment the life begins to change. Many people in life experience the same moment as Liar. When you grow, when you change, when you begin to listen to your own direction, something unexpected happens. Some people who once walked beside you stop walking with you. Not because you became worse, but because you became different. Growth changes paths. And not everyone is willing to walk a new one. But something else happens too. When you move forward with courage, you begin to meet those who belong in the next part of your journey. Liar did not lose his path when he walked alone. He found a new one. And sometimes the price of becoming who you are meant to be is simple. Some animals and some people will stay behind. But the ones who truly belong will meet you where you grow. And if this story felt familiar, perhaps you are standing at your own crossroads right now. Growing, changing, walking a path that others do not understand yet. Stay with us here. Sometimes a single story can remind us that moving forward, even alone, is exactly where life begins to open.